Hi everyone, we're going to continue with the John Mayer, Jimi Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan style techniques. Hope you got something out of the last lesson. I was mainly focused on the raking, which we're going to do more of right now. It's used a lot when you're, I don't know, playing a solo or something, when you're bending a string. If I'm doing this, so I'm using a little bit of my right hand here as well. Sometimes it depends what you're playing. It's lots of muting with the left hand and some with the right, not all the time. It just depends. Sometimes it just takes a bit of getting used to. If I'm doing, got to watch out for the harmonics. Don't want that. So you can bring your finger over, depending on what I'm playing, where my hand is, or at the moment of the solo. Sometimes I'll use 4 fingers to do that bend. Sometimes it'll be 3, but it'll be it's just easier with more fingers behind rather than trying to just bend with 1 finger. But the idea, if I use 2 fingers even, I can get that raking, and I'm also using this as well, but depending on where you are. You can hear that happening, and it sounds a little bit more interesting. It's got a bit more grunt, a bit more something to it. So that's used a lot. So you've got the more rhythmical kind of phrasing, the raking for the rhythm. Then you have the soloing kind of raking. You can also do it coming the other way around. There's a typical kind of thing. I think last one we were in E major, and we did a little bit of the relative major minor thing, which I'll talk about more as well. So if we're playing E major, we're using the D flat minor pentatonic shape. So I can do this. So I'm coming up with my pick. Once you get comfortable with it, you do the combinations. And so it's a good idea to try and learn some of these licks, riffs, songs, whatever, just because each one's a little bit different maybe for the beginning, and so it might involve a slightly different technique, fingering or whatever. So it's a good idea just to go, if you like this stuff, go nuts, learn some Jimi Hendrix, Stevie Ray, John Mayer. I really got into the Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan stuff a long time ago when I started playing a bit of blues. A long time ago. And more recently the John Mayer trio. I don't mind his pop stuff. I don't really listen to pop too much, but his blues trio is awesome. And he does Jimi Hendrix covers as well, so it's a win-win. Alright, so we have the raking, melodic raking and rhythmic raking. That's one thing. The other thing you might already know, but coming from a few chord shapes, if we're playing this standard chord, bar chord shape, which comes from an E major shape, generally playing the bluesy version, we tend to do this: thumb over the top, and then the triad with the first 3 fingers. This leaves this finger to do doing the melodic stuff. Same thing with the minor. Instead of playing like this, even though we have fingers free, we can, I find it a little bit awkward to do it like that. Can't do it very well. Anyway, do it like this. that's doing thumb over the root note again. You can play 3 fingers and mute the high one with the first finger just by releasing it a little bit, or playing the high note as well. A string is muted. In this particular chord, you may want to leave the A string open because it is an A chord, but in general, I'll leave that one muted. Just depends on what you're going for. So, other chord shapes, typical chord shape I see used, this one, which is coming from our C chord. I see that done a lot. So what we're doing here, E major. We have a double stop, second and third string. So just keep this chord shape in mind. We're doing plucking both strings. You can use, sometimes I'll use my middle finger and the pick, doing hybrid picking, or sometimes it'll be just picking, maybe just fingers, whatever. All good, it all works. So I'm going to use hybrid picking for this. Plucking these 2 strings, second and third, hammering onto the third string, and then plucking the original shape again. Single note on the 7th fret, 4th string. Then we can do either a 3 note with a hammer on the 6th fret, 4th string, or 2 note. Just depends if you want to keep that high note in there. So, hammer on, single note, hammer on, chord, root note. And going back to the cool idea with the D flat minor pentatonic over the E major, because it's relative minor, we can go from maybe that run something like that. So I'm thinking this chord shape, then I'm thinking this pattern, this blue shape. I wanted to also quickly talk about, with the strumming hand, with the bluesy, funky stuff, it depends on what sort of style you're playing, but the slower it is, from what I've experienced, it tends to be a bit more swung, like the... So the rhythm is doing this, and that's very bluesy. The funky stuff, especially the more up-tempo, it tends to be less swung and more like if I was doing the same sort of concept. So the faster it goes, the more straight the picking hand is. I think that was what I was going to cover for this lesson. So just a quick summary, I think we've mainly spoken about raking. It's a massive part of this, raking and muting, big part of this style. So think of raking in your melodies for your solos and raking with your rhythm and all of the muting that goes on. Don't forget this palm muting as well. I'll figure out some other things and we'll go through that in the next lesson. Cheers.